Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, co-author of Conversations with Top Real Estate Investors Volume 3, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, your niche navigator, coming to you with a new guest. Today we have Latisha Stuckey from North Carolina, and she is a person who's worn a lot of hats. And we want to know how wearing those different hats has repurposed her life and how she's come to this niche. Thank you so much, Latisha, for being on my show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So, this show is about finding people who have found their niche, and we want to know what your journey is about. Munira is using that exactly that. There are so many people who are unhappy in their life, in their purpose, and they haven't found their purpose, and they need to come out of that complacency and be uncomfortable to find what they need to do and find your niche. That's where I come in and help you because I'm the niche navigator. But this show also celebrates the people who have found their niche and who are constantly evolving. So those people are the ones that we showcase. If you are one of those people who have found your niche, do come and connect with me and let's have you on my show because we want to celebrate you. Without further ado, let's talk to Latisha. So Latisha, welcome again. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a native of Winston-Salem. I'm a writer, so I'm the type of person that loves a tranquil, peaceful environment. I do lots of things. I'm a thinker as well. I do lots of things outside of writing. I do some modeling. I also do motivational and inspirational speaking, and I do life coaching as well. And I do liturgical dance. So just pretty much expressive arts, any way to express your emotions, to kind of tell your story in different forms. That's what I do.
Awesome. So how did you, I know you've been a director and a board member. Can you touch a little bit on those things? Because we want to come to the present, but we have to go to the past first.
This is very true. So Alabaster Place Incorporated, they deal with families who have suffered abuse. We deal with the actual individual who has done the abuse as well, because there's a need for healing on their part as well. So that's one of the modeling things that we do. We actually have something coming up in October to celebrate domestic violence awareness, and they do a lot around just empowering people who have been broken and who need to be poured into. And that's one of the things I did. I was able to mentor a young lady for a few years who was actually in an abusive situation, and just to encourage her and pray with her and do whatever was necessary to keep her uplifted, and to help her to survive the situation that she was in. And as it pertains to being the director of the Ladies of Grace Ministry, that was extremely short-lived. I had just had a child, and that was one of the things that I put on my plate, that I had to scrape off of my plate. But just, I'm a real people person. I love women because I understand the struggle and the issues that we have and go through as women. So that's where part of my draw is, to ministering to women.
Awesome. So do you have any theological background?
Professionally, no. I have been in church since I was about 4 years old. I dedicated my life to Christ. Well, I dedicated my life to Christ at 7 and rededicated my life at 14. So I have been saved, and I have been on that journey for quite some time now. But schooling wise, I don't have any background. I've taken maybe a few Old Testament classes in undergrad, but that's not my, I don't have a theological or divinity degree or anything.
Okay. Just because you're very passionate, and faith is something that you find from within and you bring it up, and it shows in your face, it shows in the passion that you have, and you're using that to change other people's lives. Now, you said you were a motivational speaker.
Yes.
I think you spoke to before we started. So what do you speak about?
Oh, well, I pretty much speak about how to overcome your past, and how sometimes the link to the issues that we experience in our adult life can be found in our past, in our childhood, if we've experienced trauma, if we've experienced abuse, neglect, if the relationships with the individuals around us in our family or our caregivers was not healthy. That can cause trust issues. It can open up a whole lot of issues and challenges for the individual that they then carry into adulthood. And if they don't deal with it, if they don't take time to heal and process what has happened to them.
Okay, so why is that important?
It is important because if you're currently struggling with something, in order to find a resolution, if you have to go back to your past, because like history almost always repeats itself. So if you've had unhealthy relationships growing up, and dysfunctional patterns, then it's likely when you get into dating relationships as an adult, you'll continue that pattern, because although it's unhealthy, it's familiar to you. So there's a draw to that type of individual or that type of person. So in order to fix where you are, if you're struggling in relationships with, it could be with friends, it could be with significant others, it could be with family, it can be with coworkers, just relationships in general. Usually if professionally you're struggling, it's something going on personally or something that has happened in your personal life.
So you are saying that anything that you're struggling with now is stemming from your past. So go
Yes.
back and fix it.
Yes.
You sound like the back in the future kind of person. Go back and go fix it. Now, so we don't have the time machine. How do people know exactly when and how to pinpoint what the issue may be?
Okay, so once you identify the issue, for example, if it's trust issues, then you want to think, when was the first time I had this issue? Or go back into potentially your childhood. And a lot of people, individuals who have trust issues, when they were growing up, they may not have had parents that were really on top of things, parents that fed them on time, parents that made sure they got to bed, got their clothes ready, and things of that nature. So it was kind of a neglectful relationship. There was a study done that even infants, when they have failure to thrive or they fail to bond, it's because their mother or their caregiver didn't hold them. When they cried for long periods of time without anyone feeding them, checking on them. And when those children grow up, they don't trust the world. They don't trust that somebody is going to take care of me, that this is a safe place, because of what they experienced so long ago.
Okay, so because you have a different philosophy. Most people will say, forget the past, continue into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is go back, figure out your past, and then you can go forward. So why is there two schools of thought?
It's my school of thought because I've had to do it personally. When I talk about abuse, when I talk about neglect, and when I talk about those issues from childhood, I had a very traumatic beginning and a very traumatic childhood. And as an adult, I was able to look back at my childhood and see the root causes to issues that I faced in my adulthood. It's almost like when you plant a seed, whether the seed is negative or positive, it will grow. And until you dig that seed up and get to the root of the issue and pluck the root up, then the seed is going to continue to grow. You can cut it off, but if the root is still in place, something else is going to spring up. It's going to continue to grow.
Okay. So keeping in mind your root example, you can cut off the stems, right, that grow, but the problem remains the same. So what you're saying is identify that root cause and then completely remove it.
Yes.
But people can't change the past. So
True.
what is the best way to go forward?
Okay, so it's different for everyone. Some people may actually need someone like a life coach or a therapist or a counselor to help them, because sometimes I actually suppressed a sexual abuse experience until I was 15 years old, and I started having flashbacks about it. So I completely during my childhood didn't think about it, forgot it happened, but it came back up once again. That weed or whatever, it always resurfaces until you get to the root of it. So you may need a professional to help you walk through your journey and help you go back and explore why you do the things that you do, explore your perception of life, of relationships, of the way you think. Because a lot of times the way you think is what causes you to act or react. So sometimes you learn to think in a way that the world isn't safe, or to mistrust people because of something that happened in the past. So you have to kind of go back and explore that, and then focus on how you want it to be different. What steps are you willing to make to begin to trust, to begin to be vulnerable enough to allow people in?
Awesome. Okay, okay, great. Now, so let me ask you, when you work with people or when you are talking to people on stages, you're a motivational speaker, what is the message, the core message that people take away?
The message is what you've been through is what you've been called to. Because if you're, like I say, when I'm normally there, if you're looking at me, then whatever issue, whatever struggle or obstacle had not taken you out. So if you survived it, then once you heal and become whole, then you can reach back to your brother or your sister who may be in the same situation that you were in, and help to pull them out. So that's the main message. Another would be, you didn't go through what you've gone through for no reason. So sharing your testimony is extremely powerful, because a lot of times when we go through things, we think it's just us and it's isolated incident. Nobody in my family has ever gone through this, or none of my friends are going through this. But once you open your mouth and begin to tell your story and your testimony, you'll be surprised how many people stand up and say, I went through the same thing, or I'm in that now and I don't know how to get out. So yes.
Okay. And so you help people understand that, you know, that's so amazing, because there are so many people who have been traumatized, right?
Yes.
I interviewed a few people. I interview a few people every week, but there was one gentleman who said some way or another people are traumatized. It could be abuse, it could be you know, accidents, it could be divorce, it could be, you know, loss of child. I mean, trauma is around us everywhere, and we just need to start healing.
Yes.
In your opinion, what is the best way to heal?
For me, because I'm a writer, writing was very therapeutic for me, even in writing my first book and sharing my story. Because when you write something, it's a record, so it kind of stamps how you were thinking, what questions you had, where you felt lost, and things of that nature. So when you go back throughout the healing process, you can see how your thinking may have been slanted or may have not been as positive. But definitely writing is a good outlet, as well as therapy, talking to someone. They have so many different hotlines that you can call, and some people may not want to talk to someone face to face because they don't want to feel judged or for whatever reason, but you can call a hotline and never have to see that person again. And a lot of times, because I worked at family services on the domestic violence hotline, people feel more comfortable talking to you that way, because they feel like, I'm not going to see you at church, I'm not going to see you at family reunion, I won't have to hear about this again, you're not going to judge me, and if you do, I don't know who you are, so it doesn't matter. So I would just say, help find someone to help support you in your journey towards healing. Some people sing really well, and sometimes singing about what has happened to you or singing a song of encouragement to yourself can be uplifting. Whatever your gift is, utilize that, because a lot of times there's healing in that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
How do people find your books? Is this your second book or first book?
This is my first book. I'm working on the second. It's still in developmental stages, but yes, it is available on Amazon.com in paperback and ebook version. And
you're writing a second book, but
yes,
and you work with a local.
a local printing company called Media Print. So they pretty much print as many copies as I request. So I have them on me all the time. I get them in boxes. So I have several copies on me.
And how do people contact you?
They can reach me by email. My email address is castdownaTrueStory@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook. I have a business page, and that's also Cast Down a True Story. The A in that is capitalized. I'm on Twitter, and that's Latisha, Latisha_Stuckey, Stuckey. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on a little bit of everything. And okay. I'm also on Instagram as Cast Down a True Story.
Wonderful. Okay, so there you go. But here's the thing, just like we reboot our servers, we have to reboot ourselves, because we have to go back in the past and figure out how we need to heal. Yes. One thing that Latisha did mention, and I think in order for us to heal, to become whole again, maybe we don't understand why we went through what happened and why we went through what we went through. But the best thing in life is to forgive each other, because that's another tool that she didn't mention, but I think I should mention. Because once you forgive somebody, it allows you to ease up. It allows you to take care of a lot of things. And so, you know, just forgive people. And that's when the healing starts. Because he's right in a lot of ways, where we keep coming back and we keep circling round and round into things. And it doesn't work because life just keeps pulling us back. And we don't understand why. But the minute we start forgiving, or we try to go to the root cause, and we eliminate all those thoughts, negativity, you know, it's the power of positivity is so amazing that it's going to change our lives. So, Latisha, if you want to add to it.
I do. I actually, in the book, I talk about forgiving and the whole process. Also, there are letters to my adoptive and biological parents that talk about my thoughts and forgiving and getting to the root of my issues and how I lashed out at other people because of what was going on inside of me. So definitely forgiveness is key. Also, I go in the book about apologizing, how to authentically apologize instead of just saying, I'm sorry, how to talk about what you're sorry for doing, how what you have done may have caused the other person to hurt or whatever. So I definitely, forgiveness is so key. It is so important. I've heard it put this way, that forgiveness is to open the prison door and to find out that you were the prisoner that you just let out.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Latisha. You have shared a lot in our show, and we hope to see you again after your book is published. You know, you're working on the second book, so that's an amazing feat. But for those of you who are in that boat and, you know, who want some forgiveness, go ahead and reach out to Latisha. Maybe she's said something that's stricken a chord today, or who knows, right? But
right.
If it can help you, go ahead and reach out. For those of you watching, if you like, share, and subscribe to this channel, we'd appreciate it, and we'd love to see you on our next show with another guest. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group